Hello, in this video I'll show you how to edit a photo in Photoshop, and in case you want to download this very image, simply check the link in the video description to download the raw image to practice and follow along with this very video. So we're going to be learning how to process raw images, do skin retouching, color grading to get even skin tones and for the background, and finally how you can enhance the image using Liquify, and how to save the photo in Photoshop. So as soon as you open up the photo in Photoshop, it is going to automatically open up in the camera raw filter. So right now we're in camera raw. So in camera raw, we're going to correct the lighting and contrast issues regarding this very image. So just come and take the highlights down. We shall take the whites down and also take the blacks down. Come and open up the shadows of this image and add a little bit of contrast. Then come and open up the exposure of this very image. And I'll just take the highlights even lower, just like that, to reduce on the amount of highlights on the skin. Then I'm just going to come to temperature. So for temperature, I'll simply come and slightly warm up the image to around 5300 kelvins. After doing that, you can notice that the image is going to get warm. So in case the image you're editing is a little bit bluish, you can play around with the temperature slider to move it to your taste or to your liking. So after that, I'll come to the color mixer, and in color mixer we have hue, saturation and luminance. Hue is basically changing a color, saturation is the intensity of a color, luminance is the brightness level of a given color. So for this, we shall come to the hues, and I prefer to play around with the hue of the green, just like this, to make the greens pop a little bit more. And after making the greens pop, I'll simply come to the saturation and reduce on the intensity of the greens in the background, just like this. Once I'm done doing that, I'll simply come and click on open to open the photo in Photoshop for us to do the next adjustments like skin retouching and working on the skin tones. So right now in Photoshop, you are going to come and simply come to the background layer and create two copies from the background layer by clicking and dropping on the new layer icon. So drag and drop on the new layer icon to create two layers. Then simply come and name this to color, double click on the name, double click on this name to name it to texture. So for this step, we are creating the layers for frequency separation. Come to the color layer, turn off the texture layer, simply come to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. So after that, just take the radius down and click on any area that you feel has more skin details in your image. So for this, we shall come to the face area and click on the radius slider and drag it up. So you click as you're dragging up and stop at the point whereby the details or the skin textures are just starting to get lost or to disappear. So at about 2.5, that is when the details are just starting to disappear from my model skin. I'll click OK, select the texture layer, now activate it or turn it on. Then for this, simply come to image, apply image, source is the name of the photo that we're trying to edit, under layer select the color layer, channel is RGB. Then for the blending, because you're editing a 16-bit image, you're going to be using a blending of add. The scale is to offset 0, opacity at 100%, preserve transparency and mask are not checked, and click on invert. So in case you're working with an 8-bit image, for the settings you have to use, make sure invert is not turned on. After selecting the color layer, channel RGB, blending has to be set to subtract. The scale is to offset 128, and you'll have the same result. So ours is 16-bit. So I'll revert this to 16-bit settings, click OK, change the blend mode from normal and change it to linear light. Then select both layers by clicking on command, then click and drag them into a group to put them in a folder. Rename the group to frequency separation. Once we are done separating the image into the colors and textures, we are going to open up the frequency separation group and select the color layer. After selecting the color layer, come to the brushes, get the mixer brush tool, and for the settings of the mixer brush tool, simply use the hardness of 0, soft round brush is selected, and make sure clean brush is selected. And this second option that says clean brush after each stroke is also selected. The weight is 9%, load 75, mix is 90, flow is 100%. Ensure that sample all layers is not turned on or is not checked. Once you're done doing that, just come and turn off the texture or the high frequency layer. So with the mixer brush tool selected, you're just going to slightly zoom in by using Ctrl+ on the keyboard, or you can use Command+ on the keyboard. So To reduce or increase on the size of the mixer brush tool, you can use the open and close square bracket keys on the keyboard. So ensure the size of the brush you're going to be using is small enough, and to blend, simply click and hold down and you mix a given color to blend it. So for this, we just want to create even skin tone transitions on the model's skin. So I'm just going to paint like that. Just like that. Blend like that. So click and blend like that. So reduce on the size depending on the area that you're working on, and you blend a small area in case you're trying to blend an area that is very, very small or very small. So ensure to mix the midtones alone, the highlights alone, and the shadows alone. And where these colors are transitioning from one color to another, just get a small brush and you blend that boundary area to create a nice and smooth transition between those areas. So I'm just going to come to the neck area, and you have to follow the shape of a given area. And as you're doing all this, ensure that you're not zoomed all the way in, because when you zoom all the way in, you can't see the uneven skin tone transitions and you won't be able to see where to blend and where not to blend. So ensure that you retouch at a distance, and this is as well going to help you work or retouch the image quickly and faster, since you have to work on a very big area within a short period of time. So retouch at a distance, that's the benefit. So I'm just going to reduce on the size, and I blend these tiny areas on the fingers like that. Remove those dark areas on the knuckles. So once you're done doing up blending the model skin and you're really comfortable with the results, you can come and turn on the texture layer. You can say before, after, before, after. So next, we just want to remove the pimples or blemishes from the model skin. So how are we going to remove the pimples or blemishes? We are going to select a layer that is going to contain, or the layer that contains the pimples or blemishes, which is the texture layer. So just come and get the clone stamp tool and make sure for the settings the hardness set to 0, the mode is set to normal, opacity and the flat 100%, and the sample is set to current layer, because we want to remove the blemishes that are part of the currently selected layer, which is the texture layer. So I'm just going to come to the face and zoom all the way in. So to remove a pimple, for example, from the nose area, we hold down the option key on the keyboard and reduce on the size of the clone stamp tool by using the square bracket keys on the keyboard. So make sure the size of the clone stamp tool is slightly bigger than the pimple or the blemish that you want to remove. So hold on the option and click, alternate and click on an area near the pimple, and release the option button and simply click once again to cover the pimple with clean skin. So to remove a line, simply sample and drag over that line to remove it. So you can do that for removing smile lines. So I'm just going to come to the lower part of the body and ensure that I've removed majority of any skin imperfections from the model skin. So you can, by just doing this, the skin now looks better, and we have removed the blemishes. Once we are done removing the blemishes, it's time to work on the colors. So you can say before and after for just the skin retouching. So in order to work on the colors or the skin tones, we are simply going to create a stamp visible layer. A stamp visible layer is basically a screenshot or a merged layer for everything that we have in the layer option. So ensure that the top layer is selected, then press Shift Option Command E, Shift Alternate Control E on the keyboard for Windows. Then simply come to select and come to subject so that we can select the edges of the subject. The reason as to why we are selecting the edges of the subject is because as we're painting colors on the skin tone, we don't want the color to spill to the background. That is why we have selected the subject in this case. Then come and create a new layer and change its blend mode from normal to color. We have created a new layer by clicking right here. So after that, just come to brushes, get the brush tool, and for the settings, make sure it is soft round brush. Hardness is set to 0, the mode is set to normal, opacity at 100%, flow at 100%, and we're going to zoom into the image. So the reason for zooming in is because we just want to sample a color that we feel like the rest of the model's skin should be looking like. So I'm just going to reduce on the size of the brush and hold down the option key on the keyboard, option and click on the color that I want or prefer. So option and click. Once you're done sampling the color, you can see it is going to display on the color swatches or down here. After that, it is time to paint the color that we have just sampled over the model's skin. So in case it is looking oversaturated, you can sample from another area. So I'm just going to sample from a slightly less desaturated area and just start painting. So I'm just going to quickly paint on the model skin. Don't mind if the color is looking odd or awkward, because we can even come and perfect or fine tune the colors on the model's skin. So I'm just going to paint like that. So for this step, we are basically working on the model's color of the skin or on the skin tones to create an even skin color or even skin tone. Don't mind if the color is looking odd or awkward at this point, because we have to fine tune the colors later on in this very tutorial. So this is not all for the video or for the tutorial. So I'm just going to come to the rest of the body and quickly paint, for example, on the fingers, just like that. And you can see the purpose of selecting the subject is because the colors won't go to the background during the painting process on the skin. That is why we selected the subject layer, or the subject in this case. So I'm just going to quickly paint like that on the skin, like that. And sometimes the selection may not be accurate, but we're going to be correcting that later on. So in case you paint a color in an area that you didn't want to paint in the first place, I'll show you a method you can use to correct or rectify that given color in a particular or specific area in the photo. So I'll quickly paint like that. So ensure that you have painted on majority of the areas that have or contain skin color or skin tones. So this is what we have for this very step. So once you're done painting and you're comfortable with the results of the painting on the skin, I'll show you how you can perfect the colors. So ensure to first of all come and press Ctrl D, or you can use Command D on the keyboard to deselect the active selection. So you can see you have to zoom in and paint on a very small area that was not selected initially. So I'll just get a very tiny brush and paint on the edge on her shoulder like that to paint color on the skin. So after that, just come and simply get the eraser tool. And you know the work of the eraser tool is to rub away or erase colors from unwanted areas. So I'll just show you how to do this. Just come and get the eraser tool. The shortcut is E, and the mode is set to brush opacity and the flat 100%. Just get a very small eraser and rub away the colors fill in particular or specific areas that you did not want to paint in the first place. So you can see I'm going to press B for the brush and paint right here on the edge like that, and also come right here and paint. So you can see some areas were not quite selected. That is why I'll just get a very tiny brush and paint on the edge. So E for the eraser to remove any kind of extras that I may have painted in this case. So E for the eraser and erase it from these areas like that. So once you're done perfecting the colors in those areas of the image, it is time to get the image to look even better and more beautiful regarding the colors. So I'm just going to zoom out, Command minus. You can see the color looks oversaturated and it looks a little bit unnatural and unrealistic regarding the skin color. So just come to opacity and reduce on the opacity to your taste or to your liking. So about 76% is okay. And in case the color is looking too saturated, just come and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. Come to master, select the reds. So in case the skin is looking too greenish for your liking, just come and play around with the red hue to change it to your taste or to your liking. So in case it is too green, move it towards the red side, which is the left hand side. And in case it is too red, move it towards the green side so that the skin looks natural. So for my case, I'm comfortable with this color. So I'm just going to come to the lightness and simply desaturate or take down the lightness of the reds just like this. And this is going to make her skin look natural and better than where we started. So I'm just going to take it lower to around -20. So you can see the before and after. This helps to eliminate the orange color from the model's skin. So after doing that, you're going to come and create a black and white adjustment layer change the blend mode from normal to multiply, and come the opacity and reduce on the opacity, just like this. And this is going to also reduce on the oversaturated colors in the model skin. So after that, just come and create another selective color adjustment layer, and this time around you're going to select the blacks and come the cyans, because I feel like I want to make the blacks even more cinematic. By coming the cyan slider, click and drag this towards the right hand side, and this is going to make the blacks a little bit more cinematic, and it's going to make the greens in the background pop a little bit more. And you can as well come to the blacks and you increase slightly on the intensity of the blacks in the image. So about 1 is okay. You can say before and after for just the selective color. So you can even work on the other colors individually. You can even target the greens and you play around with the colors in the greens, so you can see what works best for you. Or you can even come to the yellows and you play around with the values of the yellows to your taste or to your liking. So I'm just going to come to the cyans and I see how that is going to be affecting the greens, or come to the blacks and see how that is going to turn out. So right now that is fine. Then you can even come and reduce on the intensity of the green color in the background by coming to hue and saturation. Come and target the greens and simply reduce on the saturation or the intensity of the greens in the image, just like this. I feel like the selective color is too much, so I'll just come and also reduce on the opacity of the selective color on this very image. Once I'm done doing that, the next step is simply doing the eye whitening. So just come and create another hue and saturation adjustment layer. Come and measure master is selected. Come to saturation and reduce on the intensity of the image until when the image is close to black and white. Then press Ctrl I on the keyboard, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to hide or invert the effect. Get the brush tool. Ensure that you have black and white on these two color swatches. So in case you don't have black and white, simply press D on the keyboard or left click on the tiny swatches. And now you can zoom into the image by using Command plus on the keyboard and do a little bit of eye and teeth whitening. So just come right to the eyes and simply paint. So make sure that white is the top color, so you can switch between black and white by using X on the keyboard. So as you're whitening the eyes and the effect spills to another area, ensure that you switch to black and you rub the effect using a black brush from that given area. So right now I'm doing eye and teeth whitening. So once I'm done doing the eye and teeth whitening, this is what we have right now. So after doing this, we are simply going to proceed and create a stamp visible layer by pressing Shift Option Command E, Shift Alternate Control E on the keyboard to create a stamp visible layer. Come to Filter, come to Liquify. So when you come to Liquify, it is going to open up the Liquify, and make sure Forward Warp tool is selected. And for settings, basically, I prefer density of 50%, pressure at 100. I'm just going to come and I start pushing her hips a little bit. So I'm just going to zoom in slightly and click and drag the hips just outwards, just like that, to remove any or to create a little bit more shape, but you shouldn't overdo this. So I'm just going to get a very tiny brush and try to push that out, and also come and push this out a little bit. So we are basically adding more shape, just like this. So you can see, click and just drag a little bit. So you have to do it slowly and don't push it all at once. So after this, you can see before and after for just the Liquify. Just come back and click OK. Once you're done doing the Liquify, you can even enhance the image by adding skin glow or skin shine. Come and create a curves adjustment layer. Then come, click on this right hand pointer and drag it towards the left hand side. Then after that, ensure the highlights on the skin are overexposed. Then simply right click on the curves layer and come to blending options. After that, just come to blend if measure is set to gray. Come to underlying layer, click and drag this towards the right hand side and stop at the point whereby only the highlights on the skin are selected. Then hold down the option key on the keyboard and split this option, alternate for Windows. Then click on this pointer and move it towards the right hand side until when the effect is blending well into the skin. Click OK. Click on Ctrl I on the keyboard, or you can use Command I. And with the brush tool selected, just come and start painting over the highlights on the model's skin. And this is going to create a little bit of skin glow or skin shine on the model's skin. So after that, you can come the opacity and reduce on the opacity so that it can look a little bit natural and a little bit more realistic. So in case the skin is looking too orange for your liking, create another hue and saturation adjustment layer. Master, select the reds and come to lightness, and you can reduce on the lightness for the skin to look natural and realistic. So this is the before after. So after that, it's time to save the image. So in order to save the image, come to File, Export, come to Export As, and it's going to open up the Export As window right here. Under Format, make sure it is set to JPEG. Quality set to the maximum, which is 7 for my case. Resample, make sure it is set to Bicubic Sharper. And scroll down to Color Space. Ensure Convert to sRGB and Embed Color Profile have been checked. And click on Export, and you can save or export the photo in a given folder or location that you choose or prefer. So this is how you can edit a photo in Photoshop from the start to the very end. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Don't forget to keep practicing and as well keep creating.